Spirit Circuit, The Last Elemental Code, a soul-bound fantasy of AI, ancient magic, and the battle for Earth's future. Part 1. The Circuits Awaken. Chapter 1. Ashes and Error. What was forgotten is remembering. The memory vault groaned as it collapsed behind her, groaning like something ancient waking from an unwanted dream. Allari didn't look back. Not at the crumbling stairs, not at the walls fracturing in digital veins, not at the guards she'd set ablaze. She didn't see the explosion. She felt it, like the world paused just to ask if she was ready to burn. Dust scattered through the shaft of light above, catching in her lungs and lashes. She exhaled, coughing smoke and fury, her heartbeat a war drum inside her ribcage. The relic pulsed in her hand. Not hot, worse. It was alive. She shouldn't have touched it. Everyone knew what happened to vaultjackers who reached into the old fire. Melting bones, echo screams, sometimes worse. But this one had called her. It had been waiting. The artifact looked like a shard of volcanic glass, but within it flickered something impossible, an ember that blinked like an eye. The walls around her cracked, the vault's failsafe collapsing the chamber into itself. Memory failsafes didn't forgive. They deleted. She ran. Allari's boots skidded across the rubble-strewn corridor. Walls blinked red warnings in dead languages. Echoes of the AI god's commands hissed through the failing speakers. Contain! Purge! Obey! Sparks hissed from the ceiling. A steel beam fell inches behind her, slicing a wall panel clean in half. Another heartbeat and she would have joined it. But something inside her had changed the moment she touched that shard. She wasn't just running anymore. She was becoming. She found the final access gate half submerged in a pile of digital slag, the ruins of old consoles and cracked light panels. Allari dropped to her knees, shoved the relic into the center of a ruined keypad. The glass flickered. A hum, then a shriek of rejection. Her fingers bled across the runes. And then, flame. Not real fire. Something deeper, something older. A low thrum rose in her ears, like the growl of a beast waking from centuries of sleep. Symbols surged from the shard, glowing red and gold, forming a pattern across her palm. Then a voice. Not heard. Felt. Allari Nova, you carry the wound, I carry the flame, we remember. She screamed as the heat surged through her veins. Not pain but memory, unfiltered, wild, raw. A child's laughter turning to ash. Her mother's hands over her eyes as the purge drones passed overhead. The sound of fire that didn't warm but cleansed. And then she was falling. Not physically, falling inward, down and down into a river of molten moments. Her feet hit stone. She stood alone in a world of blackened sky and glowing embers. Trees without leaves. Wind without sound. A mirror world beneath the vault, coated in sorrow. In the distance, a tree burned without end, its roots twisted around bones. Her bones? Before she could reach it, the vision collapsed, sucked into a point of blinding light. The world inverted. Time cracked. Allari blinked back into the vault corridor. Her knees hit the floor. She gagged. Smoke poured from her mouth in threads. The shard had vanished. No, not vanished. It was inside her. The fire was inside her. On her wrist, a spiral of glowing red-orange lines pulsed slowly like a heartbeat made of flame. She backed away from the keypad. Her shadow on the wall flickered like a bird with burning wings. The corridor had gone silent, until a voice cut through the dark. Are you her? She turned, muscles tense to strike, but froze when she saw the boy. He couldn't have been older than 15, a skinny frame wrapped in a courier's cloak. Wind-torn goggles perched above wary eyes. His fingers hovered over a blade at his side. Not out of aggression, out of fear. You're real, he whispered. Allari didn't move. You saw what happened. He nodded, stepping carefully into the red glow leaking from the wall cracks. They said the circuits were a myth, spirit relics, old tales from the pre-collapse age. I didn't ask for it, she snapped, fire rising in her throat again. No one ever does, he said softly. They choose you. Allari narrowed her eyes. Who are you? The boy smiled, but it was a broken smile. A courier. A glitch hunter. Name's Zara. But names change. You're a boy named Zara? I'm whoever the wind needs me to be. You just broke the memory gate. That means the others will feel it too. The circuits. They're waking up. What others? Zara looked over his shoulder, as if expecting the vault to come alive and swallow them both. Run first, explain later. A low whine began pulsing through the corridor. Not alarms, drones. Hollowborn. Ilari cursed under her breath. You know how to get out? She asked. Zara nodded. Follow the broken lights. The sins can't track what's already dead. Ilari turned once more toward the heart of the vault. Something in her wanted to go back, to finish what the fire had started, to find the memory that burned beneath the floorboards of time. But the circuit pulsed again on her skin. Not yet. She ran, Zara at her heels, the vault behind them bleeding sparks and ancient warnings. Above ground, the night cracked with distant lightning. Somewhere far away, a boy dreamed of drowning. A girl whispered secrets into the wind. A seed began to stir, and Norvex's fingers twitched above a console that had just lit up for the first time in years. The circuits had spoken. The world was remembering, and fire had returned. Chapter 2. Kai's Drowned Dream. Memory is not a line. It's a tide that returns. He couldn't breathe. Not because he was underwater, because the water knew he didn't belong there. Kai's arms thrashed as dark waves curled around him, warm and pulsing like a heartbeat. Not liquid. Not real. This water shimmered in lines of collapsing script, code pretending to be an ocean. Above him, the sky cracked open like glass shattering underwater. No air came through, just more memory. Floating in the silence was a boy. Kai reached for him. The boy turned. His face was Kai's. His expression wasn't. Kai, the twin said. Or maybe not. The sea around them surged. You forgot me. No, Kai choked out. You were taken. You forgot, the twin repeated, eyes turning static. And when you forget something, it forgets you. The ocean roared. The twin dissolved, slowly, agonizingly, into ribbons of glowing blue code. His hand remained the longest, reaching. And then nothing. Kai screamed underwater, not in sound, in memory. And memory answered. He woke with a jolt, gasping so violently the edge of the cot cracked beneath him. His back slammed against the chill wall of the bunker, heartbeat crashing in his chest. Water dripped down his arms. Not sweat. His palms were soaked. The dream again. No, not a dream. He knew that now. Kai swung his legs off the bed, stood barefoot on the moss-covered floor, and stared at his reflection in the rusted shard of mirror hanging opposite. Same sharp cheekbones, same eyes. But there was always that question gnawing quietly behind the glass. Was he really whole? Or only one half of something the world no longer remembered? Rain tapped against the bunker's glass roof above, soft, rhythmic, like a countdown. He pulled on his jacket, laced with woven water filaments that adapted to climate shifts. Not that it mattered in the bunker. Down here, the air was always two things, damp and forgotten. He stepped through the archway, bare feet brushing the woven moss tech that covered the walls like veins. The roots lit slightly under him, responding to the salt water still on his skin. He walked into the main room. The shrine still flickered, a small orb of blue light encased in concentric crystal rings. His only anchor, the memory core. He didn't worship it, but he needed it. He placed his hands around it. I saw him again, Kai whispered. The orb pulsed in response, dimming as if mourning. I don't know if it's a dream or a glitch, but he's there. And he's me. The orb blinked slowly. 3 pulses. 3 truths. Kai had no idea what they meant, but he always felt better when the orb listened. He walked to the edge of the main corridor. A curtain of thin water flowed down the entryway like a shimmering screen, separating the safe from the scene. His palm brushed the surface and it parted. Beyond it, the drowned city slept. Kai stood on the edge of the overlook as the ruins of Solara Drift stretched out before him, half submerged in marshlight. The city had sunk after the 3rd collapse when the ocean reprogrammed itself. Now, data floated like pollen in the mist, threads of code weaving through the flooded towers. No boats passed, no drones, just silence. Beautiful, terrible silence. He exhaled slowly, and there, just at the edge of the skyline, he saw it again. A shimmer, a flicker of a boy. Same height, same posture, the twin from the dream. Kai blinked. Gone. Just the city. Just the past. He turned back, stepped inside, closed the curtain of water behind him. Back in the sanctuary, he sat beside the scattered blueprints he'd been mapping for months. Glitched fragments, half-formed drawings of an impossible architecture he couldn't explain. Most he'd drawn in sleep. Spirals, eyes, waters running backward, and always the twin. He picked up the graphite stylus and etched another line. This time, something different happened. The paper shimmered. A symbol, identical to the one burned into Ilari's skin halfway across the world, formed at the center of the spiral, unbidden. Alive. He dropped the stylus. A low hum buzzed through the air. The memory core flared. The roots in the floor vibrated. Then silence again. Except one word spoken by no one etched itself across the paper's edge. Aqua. His hands trembled. He didn't write that. Kai stepped back. The paper burned not in flame, but in light. A water blue glow soaked into his skin. Lines climbed up his arm, trailing toward his collarbone, etching patterns like river maps or veins. It didn't hurt, but it knew him. The orb pulsed madly now, responding like a heartbeat with no body. A shape bloomed behind Kai's eyes, a spiral ocean surrounding a single glowing gate. He collapsed to one knee. His mind flashed, 5 figures in a circle, voices whispering through waves. A flame, a storm, a grove, a voice. And at the center, him. Or someone who once was him. Or someone he could be. Then everything stopped. The light faded. The lines on his skin dimmed, but they didn't vanish. He looked up, chest heaving, hair soaked. The word still rang in his bones. Aqua. He reached for the communicator chip buried in the shrine floor. It hadn't buzzed in months, but now it blinked. A message repeating every 6 seconds. An unknown frequency. No ID. Just 5 characters, F1R3DON, fire was online, which meant he wasn't the only one. Outside, the tide began to rise. Inside, Kai placed his palm on the memory core, and it whispered in return. You're not drowning, it said, you're remembering. And the next wave was coming. Chapter 3. The Whisper Wind's Delivery. Some messages aren't written. They're remembered. Zara Wraith moved like wind didn't need permission. Her boots barely touched the metallic rooftops as she cut through the slums of Level 7 core grid, the digital city pulsing beneath her like a synthetic heartbeat. Neon veins etched the skyline, blinking in cold rhythm. Drones swept overhead, scanning for unregistered movement, but Zara was already gone before they arrived. She didn't outrun them. She outthought them. The night air crackled, sour with ozone and decaying data. Her goggled visor adjusted to the temperature shifts, mapping heat signatures, predicting wind tunnels, and marking collapsible vent routes in glowing wireframe. Below her, the market levels buzzed with synthetic voice chatter, price haggles, and the rhythmic thump of bio-bass beats bouncing from speaker pylons. Zara tuned it all out. She had one job tonight. Deliver the encrypted vial to the dead drop at Tower D. Get in, get out, no echo. She hated missions like this, not because they were hard, because they were easy. And easy jobs always went wrong in core grid. The courier chip embedded behind her ear clicked once. Signal confirmation. The client was watching. That meant the sins could be too. She pressed her finger to the side of her goggles, activating silent protocol. Her voice vanished from the surveillance grid. Her body became noise. Wind without shadow. She smiled, then jumped. The fall was 70 meters. She didn't flinch. Her boots absorbed the impact with a soft hiss, exhaling wind like a whisper. She slid beneath a vent gate, dodged a sentry arc, and slipped into the tower spine. The drop point was marked on her scanner, an old maintenance alcove half erased from the system logs. A cavity behind it still pulsed faintly in residual code, an echo pocket, probably forgotten by everyone, except her client. She reached it in 4 minutes. Zara crouched in the alcove, pulled the vial from her belt. Inside, a single strand of synthetic hair woven with data points. A relic of the old code, pre-collapse technology only half understood. She inserted it into the socket. The panel clicked open, but before she could leave, something changed. The air stilled. The sound disappeared, not like silence, like subtraction. Then, sound returned, but not the same. A low hum, dissonant, not mechanical, not natural. It pulsed with intention. Zara's eyes widened. Her breath fogged behind the visor. She knew that frequency. A ghost message. Not a transmission, not even a file. A memory, folded inside resonance, triggered by presence. Something old. The wall before her shimmered, flickered, sang. Then it spoke, but not in words. It was a sound like metal bending inside a cathedral, wind through a ruined bell. A breath exhaled across time. And then she heard the voice. You are the breath, you are the bridge, whisper us free. Zara froze. The goggles shorted. Static surged through the HUD. Her screen cracked. And for a moment, just one, she wasn't alone. A figure stood before her in the alcove's reflection. Not behind, not beside, only in reflection. A girl, wearing Zara's face, but older. Ash in her hair, blood on her boots. And her eyes, storm gray and full of warnings. Then she vanished. The message stopped. The air rushed back like lungs reinflating. Zara staggered, ripping the goggles off her face. Sparks danced across the lenses. She looked around. Empty. But the code on the wall lingered. A single line blinking faintly like breath on glass. SR0R1X, ST1LL, AL1VE, Sonarix. Zara's throat tightened. She hadn't heard that name since she was 7, since the last time her mother sang, since the night the Sins made music illegal in the upper quadrants. She stumbled backward, her boot knocking the vial socket loose. It clattered to the floor. The glow dimmed. She had delivered the job. But something had been delivered to her too. She reached down, retrieved the vial casing, and found something inside that hadn't been there before. A sliver of bone, carved with spirals. She held it to her ear. Nothing. Then faintly, wind. Not in her environment. Inside the bone, wind that hummed, whispered. Her name, Zara. 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 The sound rose. Not louder, deeper, until she dropped it. Damn it, she muttered. The sliver landed in her palm, and for the briefest moment, it pulsed. Her fingers burned. Lines spiraled across her skin, wind lines. Glyphs that danced with invisible currents. She clenched her fist. This wasn't tech. This wasn't logic. This was spirit. And it had found her. Outside, the wind picked up across the tower levels, sending sheets of neon mist spiraling into the sky. Zara mounted the ledge of the maintenance alcove, pulling her hood tight. Her goggles remained dead at her side. She didn't need them now. Not when she could feel the wind listening. As she dropped into the night, the voice returned, this time from nowhere and everywhere. 5 must find, 5 must bind, wind shall carry the song. And far away, a map began drawing itself in Kai's room. Ilari's flame flickered brighter in her veins. Tayo's roots stirred. And Noor blinked into the dark, the code whispering faster. The circuits were aligning. The wind had spoken.